It's time to talk about septic tanks. The reason why I have this is because this is the only thing that we put down our septic tank out of the house. And the other thing is, if you look at this, it says septic safe. So let's dive in. We're gonna talk septic tanks, what you need to know, how many houses in the area actually have septic tanks. If you're a seller with a septic tank, just some tips. So let's dive in and talk about poo. Okay, seriously, septic tanks. So I myself live in a house with a septic tank. It's completely fine. So let me just say that. If you're like, what's a septic tank? Never heard of it. I live in the city, don't know what you're talking about. Septic tank is an alternative to public sewer. So public sewer is where your wastewater is pumped out to a waste treatment system that is your city or county. They're treating the water, etc. A septic tank, instead of your waste being taken to the city, to a treatment center and addressed by the city or wastewater, a septic tank is a literal tank where your wastewater goes in the tank, and then it goes into a drain like field line, and the treatment happens that way. So it is most often used in rural areas. And so being that this is East Tennessee, we have a lot of rural areas. So the definition, if you will, of a septic tank is a conventional septic tank has four main parts: a pipe that carries wastewater from your home, a septic tank, a pipe that connects your septic tank to your drain field, and the drain field itself. So a lot of times you'll hear that as like the leach bed or the field lines or the drain line or the drain field, all of that. That is kind of the important piece of this. That's where we tend to see the most issues, in my opinion, both personally and in dealing with residential real estate sales. So essentially, it's a waste treatment system. You can see I've provided two different kind of graphics. One is the house into the septic tank. They're the same thing, just in a different way. So that's what a septic tank is. Now, in the East Tennessee MLS, so that's a 12 county MLS. Right now, if we look at active listings, homes for sale with a septic tank, right now in the MLS, there are 5,683 active listings. Of those 5,683 listings, 2,724 or 47.9% have septic tanks. So just under 50% of homes listed for sale in the East Tennessee area have septic tanks. Now let's look at this by county. By the way, check out this map. You can see that there's some like empty spots, and that would be Oak Ridge and Knoxville City. But if we look by county, what do we notice? What do we see? What are the percentages? So Knox County, of all of those active listings, Knox County accounts for 1,246. Of the 1,246 homes listed for sale in Knox County, 144 have septic tanks. So that's 11.6%. You can see from the map I've provided that Knoxville City doesn't really have septic tanks, but everything outside of that seems to be fair game. And that includes West Knoxville, that includes Hardin Valley, that includes Farragut, that includes parts of 37919. Like that Lions Bend area, all of that is like kind of back, windy, etc. So some of those have got septic tanks, lots of South Knox, lots of East Knox, Gibbs, Halls, Coreyton. Those are more rural areas, right? So if we look at Blount County has 433 total listings currently active for sale. At the time of this video, of those 245, so over 50%, almost 57% of homes in Blount County have a septic system. Again, you can look at the map and you can see that Maryville City and Alcoa City are the exception. Everything else outside of that seems to be on septic. Loudoun County, this stat is a little probably not correct. I'm providing this to you as a snapshot just so you can get an idea, but essentially, Loudoun County has got 324 total active listings. Of those, 73 are said to have septics. Now, here's the thing that's a little sketchy. Loudoun County includes places like Tellico. A number of the homes listed for sale are homes in Tellico Village, and that they have their own septic system, and some agents list it as septic and some agents list it as other. So these stats are a little bit off. But essentially what we're seeing is that about 23% of homes in Loudoun County are on a septic system. Sevier County, 596 out of 1,041 listings. So 58% of homes in Sevier County on a septic system, which makes sense, right? Because a lot of those are a lot of them are in the mountains. So there's no public sewer going on up there. The infrastructure is too much, not feasible, wouldn't make sense. So that's Sevier County. Anderson County, which is the home of Oak Ridge, 71 out of 175 have septic tanks, so just under 41% of homes in Anderson County with a septic tank. Then Roane County, also think Harriman, think the very west of Oak Ridge, Kingston, etc. 91 out of 181, so about 50% of homes in Roane County have a septic system. Finally, Jefferson County, 121 out of 171 listings, so 71% of homes in Jefferson County on a septic tank. Again, Jefferson County is just more rural. If you look at Jefferson City, you can see that there's no septic tanks, but other than that, pretty much Jefferson County is pretty rural. You've got New Market, you've got White Pine, Dandridge, all of that septic. Okay, so pros and cons of a septic tank. Septic tank, just in general, is perceived as more gross. People are grossed out by it, especially if you've not ever been on a septic tank. The perception is, ugh, it's disgusting. Well, it can be disgusting, and so can a backup sewer line. Okay, so just want to point that out to you. Some of the pros of a septic tank are that it's free. There is no monthly utility bill. You don't have a water bill and a sewer bill. You just only have your water bill. It's environmentally friendly as long as you're putting the proper stuff down the drain, but also as long as your field lines aren't going into or backing into a creek or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Cholera. No. Okay, and then another pro would be that it's a wastewater option for rural areas. If you're wanting to buy land, you're not wanting to be in town, but you need utilities, the septic system is the way that you have wastewater. Okay, so it allows for independent living in more rural places or on land that is further out, bigger plots of land, etc. Some of the cons about a septic system, as I said, it's gross. People get grossed out by it. When it fails, it's bad, and that's spoken from personal experience. Okay, it's disgusting. Whether it's the tank itself is messed up or the drain lines. Permitting. So septic permits are required. If you're going to put a septic tank in, you need to in Knox County, for example, you have to get a permit in order to get your building permit. So you have to have your septic permit to get your building permit. Okay, it's like before the chicken comes before the egg in this one. You got to get your septic permit. But sometimes, say for example, a house has 3 bedrooms, but the permit is for 2 bedrooms. Well, when you go to resell that house, it can only be marketed for the number of bedrooms that the permit is for. Therefore, you can only market it as a 2-bedroom home, even though it might have 3, 4, 10, 15 bedrooms. So for example, you would say, this is a 2-bedroom home, but there are 4 bonus rooms, which would imply there's actually 6 rooms that could be used as bedrooms, but you can only say that there's 2 bedrooms. So sometimes the permitting, depending on what it is, can be a problem on resale. Maintenance, you cannot put a bunch of crap, besides actual crap, down the drain in your septic safe toilet paper. Okay, so you gotta maintain it. You can't be putting grease and tampons and I'm going to list all that stuff later, but you can't put a bunch of stuff. You can't put those wipes down there. It needs to be something that makes it easy for the waste to decompose and doesn't get in the way of the bacteria. So it's self-sustaining. It requires space. So a septic tank is not something that you're going to build a bunch of townhouses and they're all going to have septic tanks on a 0.17 acre lot. Not going to happen. Doesn't work. You can't do it. And then that's another thing when you're thinking about buying a lot, like a lake lot on the water, for example, there has to be enough space on that lake lot for you to put a septic system and not run it into the lake or the river or whatever. So that's something to keep in mind as you're looking at lots. is this feasible for what I want to do? Resale and permitting issues, I kind of already addressed this, but some people don't like a septic tank. Some people won't buy a house specifically because it's on a septic system. And then also the maintenance of it, if you've not maintained it. I once had a client under contract on a home. We had the septic inspection done, and there was essentially no septic tank. There was an old tank, but the old tank had crumbled. And so all the wastewater was flowing out, essentially dumping into the yard, into the facade of an old tank, but there was only the tank only had 2 sides and everything else was just crushed in. So that is a problem. And that's gonna hurt your resale because you're gonna have to fix that as a seller unless that person is just buying cash and they don't care, so it's just something to think about there. If you don't have, I touched on this, but if your permit's for 2 bedrooms or 1 bedroom, but you've got 3 or 4 bedrooms, that could be a problem. Because people, if they're wanting to add on or wanting to get more, but they only could get a permit for 1 bedroom, then that could hurt potentially the prospects, the buyers that are interested. This is usually more of an issue for people that are relocating to the area that aren't used to septic systems, or those buyers or clients who have never had a septic system. Now, pros of a sewer system would be that it's seamless. The perception is that a sewer system is less maintenance. Now, the thing about a sewer system is that basically from the street where your house is connected to that sewer line, from the sewer line to your house is yours to maintain. That is your responsibility. You wouldn't go out and call KUB and say, hey, my sewer line is backing up into my house. They're gonna say, you need to call a plumber. Now, if there's something going on at the street, at the line, they will take care of that. But, it's still yours to maintain from the street when it comes to sewer. So it's seen as seamless and it's more desirable. You don't really have to maintain it in the sense that you're not worried about what you're necessarily putting down the drain. Although, we know we should be worried about what we're putting down the drain. We should be considering that. But in general, it's less of rules. And then also it depends on the age of your pipe. If you have old pipes in your house and you're on sewer, like public sewer, you still got to be careful about what you're putting down those drain lines. Okay. And then also with sewer, cons of sewers would be a monthly utility cost. And then again, from the street to the house, all of that is your problem. It really comes down to personal preference. This is a deal breaker for you, then say that up front. I do not want a house with a septic system. Cool. We'll take them out. You can go in the MLS and you can say homes not on a septic, and you will only get results for that. Okay, so if you are considering buying a house with a septic tank, what should you do? Should you have it inspected, etc.? So if you are a buyer looking at a home with a septic tank, first of all, there should be a septic disclosure. State of Tennessee, Knox County, it's called an SSDS, subsurface sewer disposal system disclosure, SSDS disclosure. That is going to tell you what the permit for that septic system is, how many bedrooms is permitted. Sometimes what you'll get is that there's no file, or the file could not be located. So that's not necessarily a red flag. It just could be that if the home was built in 1950, it's on a septic tank, they don't keep the file that long. They don't have the permit from that long ago. So that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. So just be aware of that. If it's an older home, it may not have a permit on file. They don't keep the records that long. So that's not necessarily a red flag. And it's not necessarily a red flag if you're buying a 3-bedroom house that has that's actually 2 bedrooms and is rated for 2 bedrooms. Now, if you're going to turn around and sell this house in 5 months and you're going to make a profit on it or whatever, I don't think that that's a good decision regardless of if it's on the septic or not. But I'm just telling you, some buyers are very particular about this and about the permit. And so I would just, be cautious. If you're going to be living in that house for a long enough time, it's not going to matter because that house is going to appreciate regardless. And then the other thing, if you're a buyer, is should you get a septic inspection or not? Now, when you do this, if you get a septic inspection, please know that oftentimes the lid to or entry place to that septic tank is buried, which means they're gonna have to dig up the yard, which is not ideal. And some sellers do not like this idea because you're digging up their yard. It's in the inspection period. You could back out. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that it's gonna dig the yard up, bottom line. To me, I would have it pumped. And some companies, like, they do that as a part of the inspection. But let me just shift to seller for a second. If you're a seller with a septic tank, suggestion would be to have it pumped and checked out before you list, and keep a record of that information. So you can just hand it to the buyers. Hey, we just had this pump 3 months ago. Here's the report. Point blank period. So that way you're avoiding all of this, because people take septic tanks psychotically, okay? It's like, it seems to always be an issue if it's not been maintained, or if there's even the slightest little thing wrong, it can really kill a deal. And this has happened multiple times because people get freaked out about poo. Where is it going? And am I gonna have to deal with it? And they don't wanna deal with it. So whatever you can do as a seller to address this beforehand, for example, have it pumped and have a note from the septic people that it's working fine. Now, that being said, if you do that, if you call the septic company and you say, hey, I'm gonna get this pumped and I just wanna get it checked out, make sure everything's working, whatever, and they tell you there's a problem, then you're gonna need to fix the problem. So is it a little bit of a risk? Yes, but can it help you avoid the heartbreak of getting under contract and having to go back on market? Because here's the thing, if you have to go back on market because of your septic tank, you're gonna have to probably fix it anyways. So just address it before you list. That's my suggestion. I'm not your agent, I'm just saying, or maybe you're watching this and I am your agent, I don't know, but I'm just telling you, that's my suggestion. Septic inspection is to your discretion. Most people that are local within Tennessee tend not to, because they're just more familiar with them and they know, like, hey, I'm gonna get it pumped, it's whatever. Most people that are relocating that have never even really heard of a septic tank, they tend to be a little bit more, cautious, which is fine. It makes complete sense. I'm just saying, there's that difference. Okay, and then as a buyer, you ask for the permit, but also ask when it was pumped. Ask if there's, any maintenance records on it, whatever. If you are a buyer and you're having a septic inspection, what happens during a septic inspection? They're gonna pump. Most companies are gonna pump, some are not. It's just FYI. They're gonna check, like, are the sludge levels correct? Is it functioning properly? Are there missing parts? Is everything there that needs to be there? Essentially is what they're checking. So when it comes to Tennessee, you've got different, like, governing bodies of areas based on their environmental health and who's in charge. So it's the wastewater kind of resources, water resources divisions across the state of Tennessee. Knox County, Blount County, Sevier County, Jefferson, they all do their own thing. So for example, if you were to go right now and you were to search Tennessee septic records, septic permits, you can go and pull the septic permits for houses in almost all counties in Tennessee, with the exception, of course, of Knox, Blount, Sevier, and Jefferson, which is annoying. Listen, I'm telling you, Knox, Jefferson, Sevier, and Blount, it's annoying. But it is what it is. They do their own thing. It's just a pain, because you can go in those other counties and you can just pull it yourself and see it. It's magical. You can see the permit and you can see this is the drawing and this is where the septic tank is. This is how many bedrooms it's rated for, and it's literally magical. But those other counties, you have to email them directly, the environmental health offices, and ask for the permit. It's not hard. It's just easier if you can just look it up yourself. You know what I mean? You just feel more independent, okay? So just in terms of thinking about septic tanks in Knox County, you must have, if you're looking at land and it's gonna require a septic tank, you must have a septic permit before you can get the building permit in Knox County. So please know that. If you're not thinking about Knox County, check on that. In Blount County, check on that in Sevier County. I'm just giving you an idea of questions to ask and things to consider when you are thinking about buying land and building a property. And then the other thing is that if you purchase a home and you need to repair that septic within the county of Knoxville, within Knox County, within the county of Knoxville, that's not even a county, okay? Within Knox County, you gotta get a permit for that repair in Knox County, okay? So just please know that. Now, if you are working with a septic company and they're gonna get their repair, they're gonna help you do that. But just FYI, okay? FYI. Okay, when it comes to septic tank care, this is what you need to know. Only toilet paper needs to go into the septic tank. Now, my personal situation is that we have a septic tank, and that is for our shower water, our toilet water, and the washer, and like the bathroom sink. So everything in the bathroom is the sinks, the shower, the washer, and the toilet. Which means what's going down there? Our toilet water with the toilet paper that is septic safe, okay? And then you've got your shower water, so that's soap. You've got your sink water, soap water, your gray water, whatever, and your washer, okay? So that's all that we are doing at our house. I consider it like we're fortunate in the sense that our kitchen sink does not go into our septic tank, because when you start kind of introducing food and we've got a disposal, ideally when you have a septic tank, you want to be very careful about what you're putting down the disposal. If you have food chunks going into your septic system, that can back the whole thing up. I'm not saying it's going to, I'm just telling you that's kind of non-ideal, okay? But also, when you have a septic tank, when your kitchen sink is draining into your septic tank, then think about what all is in there. You might have fats and butter and grease and whatever, cheese, heavy, this is a whole list. Fats, butter, wax, cheese, heavy cream. You might have things like drain cleaners, household chemicals, paint thinners, whatever. None of that, coffee grounds, oils, none of that should be going into your septic tank, period. So just be very careful on the maintenance piece of it, because if it gets messed up, it's very unpleasant. Okay, I'm just telling you. Avoid that. Just only put toilet paper down there, okay? This is from the EPA website. Does using a garbage disposal unit impact my septic system? It says yes, using an in-sink garbage disposal unit can impact how often you need to pump your septic tank. Food waste usually is slowly digested by the healthy bacteria in your septic tank and accumulate as scum and sludge. If a large amount of water enters the septic tank or the tank fills up with solids, it can push the solids into the drain field too early, basically, causing the pipes to clog and increasing the thickness of the biomaterial, a bacteria layer that forms on the bottom and the sides of the drain field trenches. If you must use a garbage disposal unit, your tank will need to be pumped more frequently, which is not a huge deal, but I'm just telling you, be careful. If your kitchen sink is connected to your septic tank, be careful. What can I flush down the toilet? I've already told you this, only toilet paper. But what about those wipes? No. Toilet paper that is septic safe. Don't go get that thick toilet paper. You want to, on the thing, it needs to say septic safe. Okay, just do that. Please do it, okay? You can see this whole list. Cooking, this is stuff that does not go down. Cooking grease or oil, non-flushable wipes such as baby wipes and other wet wipes. And if you're using the wipes, make sure they say septic safe. I personally would not do it. I would not do it. And actually, I was in a final walkthrough 2 days ago, and we noticed that there were those like wipes, like Equate brand wipes, on the back of every toilet in the house. That was on a septic system. No bueno. No ma'am, Pam. No feminine hygiene products, no condoms, no dental floss. Why would you put dental floss down there? Diapers, cigarette, who's doing this? Cigarette butts, coffee grounds, cat litter. Really? Paper towels is obviously a no. You don't put those, none of this do you put down a regular toilet, okay? Pharmaceuticals, household chemicals like gasoline, oil, pesticides, antifreeze, and paint or paint thinners. Okay, you're putting this down. Who does? Okay, I'm moving on. We're moving on. Only toilet paper that says septic safe, okay? Just a couple other things to know. If you buy a home with a septic system, you want to know where the drain lines are. So a couple things about this. Number one, you want to know where they are because You don't want to be driving over them. So your field lines don't need to go where your driveway is. Your field lines don't need to go under your back porch. I've seen all those. I've seen that. I've seen them under a back porch. I've seen them under a back porch is actually I've seen quite often. Or someone like where someone's done an addition over the drain lines. No, you're just trying to do the best. I'm just telling you, don't do that. Okay, basically, I'm gonna read the list because I'm going off script here. So, locate your septic tank. This is from the EPA and Drainfield. Then make sure the area is clear of underground sprinkler lines, decks and patios, sports courts, storage sheds, swing sets, sandboxes, driveways, vehicles, and swimming pools. The other thing about this is you might see on your septic permit that there's like a separate space for backup lines, or it's like secondary lines that aren't actually there. But you may also see where it says like there can be no pool, because if you were to put a pool, it's going to be where those backup lines are, and you will not be able to get that pool permitted. So if you are wanting to put a pool where you are buying a property with a septic tank, be aware that you need to make sure that there's going to be enough space to put the pool with having a septic tank wherever you want to put it. So FYI, just know that, because I've seen that happen actually multiple times where clients have been looking at a property, we check out where the septic tank is, and it's not possible to put a pool because the yard is not big enough to accommodate. If the current drain lines fail, then you have to use new drain lines. Well, then you couldn't have a pool because that's where your drain lines need to go. So anyways, should a septic tank scare you? No. Should you get a septic inspection if you're scared of it? Sure. My main thing is making sure that if the septic tank is going to hinder what you want to do on the property, then it's probably a no. So that would be like where you want to put a driveway, where you want to build, if you want to add a pool, if it's on land, where it makes sense for that space. And then say you're buying land that's in a flood zone, so you only have a very tight window where you could build that's not in a flood zone. Does that area allow you to do what you want to do and also get the septic permit that you need to have to build the house that you want? So that's kind of, when we're talking about land. But hopefully this has been helpful. I hope no one took offense to me calling anyone dumb, because I myself do dumb things. So that was harsh and I apologize. That being said, I'm Haley Jones. If you have questions, give me a call. Text is the best, 865-242-9821. And as always, I have so much more to tell you. So give me a subscribe and I'll see you on the next video.